Welcome to the Berean Remnant. I'm your host, Dr. Bernard Mouser. Today, what I want to talk to you about is an important book in my spiritual journey. This is called The Natural Sciences Know Nothing of Evolution by Dr. A.E. Wilder Smith. This was published in English in 1981. It was translated from German by his daughter, Petra Wilder Smith. But I think he's actually a British professor. He was a professor at a lot of different medical schools around the world, several medical schools in Europe, and then here in the United States. He got his first doctorate in physical organic chemistry at Reading University in England, and he was a professor of chemotherapy and pharmacology. And what I really love about this book is he makes it accessible, though he has a scientific background. He makes it really accessible for the layperson to pick up, okay, what are the barriers to being able to explain spontaneous biogenesis? Okay, so biogenesis, how is it that we can get basically life from dead matter? How do you get life from non-life? And he basically says there's multiple levels of barrier that he explains throughout the book, that not only is it the case that nothing we find in nature, you never find spontaneous biogenesis ever occurring, but even in the laboratory, you can't. So that when you have people who are creating what they call the building blocks of life, he said that's just one of the orders of life that you actually need to get. That's a prerequisite for life. It's necessary, but it's not sufficient to get life, because there's actually two different orders anytime you find life that are operating in a living thing. The first order is the molecular structure of what are these building blocks. And I like the example he uses. He says, consider the chemical composition of something like ink molecules or maybe chalk molecules. The chemical composition of those things is one level of order. That's what we call it, order one. Then when we're, for those of us that are older, we remember using chalk in our classrooms to write things on the board. Our teacher would write things on the board. The chemical composition of your ink or your chalk is very different than the information you're writing with that. So it's necessary for transmitting that information that you have that first level of order. But the higher level order that we find in information theory is order number 2. And so while ink and its molecules, order 1, can be used to communicate order number 2 or order level 2, the information to us, it's not that the paper or the book or the chalkboard or the whiteboard, they don't create the information of the book. They're just material causes that carry that information. And I think he does a good job explaining that, unpacking that really well in a way that made me see, oh man, Darwinism has significant problems to overcome that is impossible for them to overcome. So, again, I highly recommend this book. I don't know how easy it is to find, but Dr. Wilder Smith also had a film series called Origins that is available on YouTube. So if you want to find some old school explanation refuting Darwinism, evolution, you could check out his film series on YouTube. I hope something here has encouraged you and equipped you a little bit when you're thinking about the debate against Darwinists. Have a great day.